Dakota is not just the name of an aircraft, it is a shining symbol of India's pride and resistance. It was in May 2018 when the Indian Air Force received a gift of heritage, a gift of delight, and a gift that preserves its celebrated history. A fully restored Dakota DC-3 VP905, which weathered many storms and won fierce wars for India, was formally inducted into the IAF vintage fleet.
One must say, Spondyl Bhatia flying Dakota VP905 landing in Srinagar landing ground was the main reason that Kashmir is still with us.
Gifted by Member of Parliament Rajiv Chandrasekhar, on behalf of his father, retired Air Commodore MK Chandrasekhar, who is a renowned veteran from the Dakota fleet, the DC-3 touched the sky with glory for decades. Rechristened as Parashurama, the vintage Dakota aircraft participated during the recently concluded 13th edition of Aero India show at Yelahanka Air Force Station in Bengaluru. It also rode during this year's Republic Day parade, flanked by two Mi-17-4 helicopters flying in wing formation. The mythical warrior sage, Parashurama is an icon of determination for the country's coming generations. Here's its most telling story. August 15, 1947. India became free after 200 years of colonial subjugation. But the country was split into two, India and Pakistan. Days and nights were filled with the joy and euphoria over the newly won freedom, even amidst the violence and bloodshed triggered by partition and flow across the borders of refugees. Although the new central government came to power, most states had remained under the native kingdoms. Among them was the princely state of Kashmir, ruled by Maharaja Hari Singh. October 22, 1947, the day that launched independent India's first war. Pashtun tribal militia, backed by Pakistan, invaded Kashmir from Waziristan. They plundered and looted their way to Srinagar. The entire assault was as per a clandestine project of Pakistani government to capture Kashmir. As the capital too was about to fall, Hari Singh sent an SOS to the Indian government for immediate assistance. On 26 October, Hari Singh signed the Instrument of Accession with India, and Jammu and Kashmir became a part of the country. Indian troops under the 1 Sikh regiment landed in Srinagar, airlifted in Dakota aircrafts. After more than a year of warfare, Pakistani forces surrendered and agreed to a ceasefire.
10 Dakotas were gifted to number 12 Squadron of Royal Indian Air Force based at Karachi. The airplanes during the ferry itself went through very serious weather en route. One of it even crashed. But the 9 airplanes survived the rugged weather and reached 12th Squadron at Karachi.
Subsequently, Dakota played yet another historic role in India's next victorious war in 1971 for the liberation of Bangladesh.
Dakota has been the warhorse of the Indian Air Force right from the beginning when I joined service, and it has been used in all roles, both for transport support, schedules and transport support role, and it has done yeoman service for the Air Force and was the backbone of the Air Force for a long time.
The days with Dakota remain bright in the memories of retired Air Commodore MK Chandrasekhar, a pilot who flew the prestigious aircraft for thousands of hours during his exemplary career, Chandrasekhar travels through his memories.
A gentleman called Douglas, who had formed a company of his own, otherwise working as an engineer in another company, got a request from the TWA asking for an aeroplane which is rugged, capable of flying day and night, and be able to travel across from the east coast to the west coast.
Dakota's contribution to make the transporting of troops safe and effortless was indeed remarkable. The aircraft was born after the World War I, designed by Donald Douglas Sr., an American aircraft engineer in 1930s. It had creatively combined all the possibilities provided by the state-of-the-art technology. It was the culmination of the realization of the need for an extraordinary aircraft to face extraordinary conditions.
The first of the series was the DC-1. It was indeed a very well designed, beautiful looking aeroplane for the day. All metal, low wing, 2 engines. The aeroplane flew first on 1st July 1933. So DC-2 was designed, which flew in less than 1 year more, somewhere about September-October 1934. That was to carry up to about 12 passengers, extended up to 14, used extensively. The aeroplane became so successful that even KLM in Europe picked up this aeroplane to fly all the way from London to Melbourne. The demand for still a higher aeroplane, larger one, with a higher capacity, as projected by the TWA, made them design DC-3. This aeroplane, commonly known as DC-3 or C-47 or Dakota.
British Army acquired DC-3 immediately after it was launched and deployed during the World War II, which came to India inducted into the 12th Squadron of the then Royal Indian Air Force. After independence, they remained with the Indian Air Force, which had the historic role in its first war victory against Pakistan.
Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru used to travel extensively in this aeroplane, DC-3. The services that was rendered by DC-3 to the Indian Air Force and Indian public at large are extensive indeed. The aeroplane used to be in use even after the Indian Air Force stopped using it or replaced it with HS-748.
Time went by and Dakotas too had to retire from serving in war fields by 1971 to give way to newer and more sophisticated aircrafts like Avro HS-748. Yet, Dakota remains one of the best in the history of transport aircrafts, and its significance is all the more to independent India's history as well. It was this historic significance that prompted Rajiv Chandrasekhar to source a Dakota in near scrap condition in 2011. Through this gesture, Chandrasekhar was paying homage to the Indian Air Force as well as personal tribute to his father as well.
To give back to the Indian Air Force a Dakota, an aeroplane that my father flew over 6,000 hours in, an aeroplane that my childhood is intrinsically linked to. It is something that I have to thank the Almighty that I could get in a position to do so. This is an aeroplane I hope that will kindle the history and legacy of the Indian Air Force in the future generations of air warriors, inspire youngsters to serve and sacrifice just like my father did for the nation, and many other pilots and many other air warriors in the Indian Air Force.
Rajiv Chandrasekhar had the nearly 80-year-old Dakota fully refurbished at a cost of 580,000 euros in UK, which took 6 years, and had it flown to India to be gifted to the IAF. Its historic flight, manned by Indian and British pilots, began from London on April 17, 2018 and covered 9,750 kilometers through multiple airspaces with stoppages at 7 countries including France, Italy, Greece, Jordan, Bahrain and Oman. On April 25, 2018, it touched down Indian soil at Air Force Station at Jamnagar in Gujarat, from where it reached the final destination at Air Force Station Hindon, Uttar Pradesh, next day to be a part of the IAF vintage fleet. Retired Air Commodore MK Chandrasekhar flew on the aircraft from Jamnagar to Hindon with special permission from the Union Defence Minister. On May 4, 2018, the Dakota DC-3 VP905 was formally inducted into the Indian Air Force at a grand ceremony at Hindon, where a key was received by the Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal B.S. Dhanoa from retired Air Commodore MK Chandrasekhar. What started off as a memory transformed into a gesture that not only makes every officer in the Indian Air Force proud, but will inspire future air warriors.